Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting and eye-opening episode where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, and today we're exploring a jaw-dropping story that's turning heads among collectors, historians, and everyday people who might just have a hidden fortune sitting right in their change jar because the 2022 1-cent coin, a humble penny that you might overlook without a second thought, has been reported to be worth as much as $9 million due to some extraordinary errors and minting mistakes that transformed it from a simple copper-plated zinc cent into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, a coin that combines modern minting technology with the unpredictability of human and machine imperfection, creating an artifact that's both mysterious and immensely valuable. And in this story we'll go on a journey through the fascinating details of what makes this particular 2022 penny so desirable, the rare conditions that led to its creation, the possible varieties and mistakes that exist, and how such coins are discovered, authenticated, and valued by experts in the numismatic world. So if you've ever looked at a penny and thought it couldn't possibly be worth more than 1 cent, think again, because sometimes, the smallest coin can hide the biggest secret and the biggest payday imaginable. And that's exactly what happened with this incredible 2022 1-cent piece that collectors are calling the multimillion-dollar penny, a coin whose story is filled with twists of fate, mechanical anomalies, and an element of luck that no one could predict, starting with the year itself, 2022, a time when the United States Mint was continuing to produce the Lincoln Shield cent design introduced in 2010, featuring Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait on the obverse and a modern shield design symbolizing the Union on the reverse. But during that year something went very differently in a few of the minting presses, something subtle yet profound. Because somewhere along the production line a few planchets, the blank discs used to make coins, were not what they were supposed to be, possibly due to leftover material from foreign coinage experiments or even test strikes that somehow escaped the mint's quality control process, and those irregular planchets led to striking errors that made certain 2022 pennies unlike any others in existence. Coins struck on bronze planchets reminiscent of the pre-1982 cents that had higher copper content, or on steel-like planchets accidentally fed into the presses during an internal calibration run, creating off-metal errors that immediately became legendary among coin specialists, and when combined with striking misalignments, die deterioration, and doubling on critical design elements like the date, the word Liberty, or Lincoln's eye, these features created a perfect storm of rarity and intrigue, making the coin an absolute masterpiece of minting imperfection, a symbol of how even in the era of high-precision manufacturing, errors can still sneak through and create treasures worth millions. And as we analyze this remarkable 2022 1-cent coin, it becomes clear why collectors are willing to pay such enormous sums, because the coin isn't just a curiosity, it's a tangible slice of minting history, a snapshot of the modern mint's limitations, and a living testament to how chance and craftsmanship intersect in the world of numismatics, where the tiniest deviations can produce astronomical value. And one of the most discussed characteristics of the 2022 error cent is its possible double die obverse, where the date and letters show dramatic doubling visible even without magnification, suggesting that the working die used to strike these coins was improperly hubbed or struck multiple times out of alignment, causing the design to appear shadowed or duplicated, and such doubling, if bold and clear, transforms any modern coin into a treasure because collectors value visible mechanical doubling differently from true double dies, and the 2022 double die variety, if authenticated by experts like PCGS or NGC, could command prices beyond imagination, especially if combined with other anomalies like off-center strikes or wrong planchet errors. And some examples have reportedly shown a broad strike feature where the coin was struck outside the collar, resulting in expanded rims and distorted lettering, giving the piece a stretched or pancake-like appearance, further enhancing its uniqueness. And other rare forms include die cracks extending through Lincoln's profile like lightning bolts, die chips around his beard or hair, and even cuts on the rim where pieces of the die broke away, leaving raised lumps of metal on the finished coin, each of these imperfections telling a story of stress, wear, and machine fatigue that collectors find mesmerizing. Because in every crack and bump lies the evidence of a minting machine pushed to its limits, and when one of these rare coins escapes into circulation unnoticed, it becomes a silent traveler passing through hands and pockets, gas stations, and grocery stores, until one sharp-eyed individual finally notices that something looks off and realizes they're holding a potential multimillion-dollar marvel, and that's exactly how this 2022 1-cent error came to fame, a coin found not in a vault or auction but in loose change, later authenticated and appraised at a staggering $9 million due to its extreme rarity and combination of multiple error features never before seen together on a modern cent. And what makes this even more incredible is that such coins demonstrate how mistakes can slip past the most advanced inspection systems, because the mint produces billions of pennies each year under tight tolerances, yet even a minute variation in die pressure, metal composition, or alignment can yield a unique specimen, and sometimes these coins are struck on leftover experimental planchets used for testing alloy compositions, such as steel or aluminum, which react differently under the presses, giving unusual color tones or weight discrepancies that immediately catch the attention of experts with precision scales, and in the case of this 2022 penny, reports suggest it weighed less than the standard 2.5 grams, indicating it might have been struck on a foreign or transitional planchet, making it not just a US error coin but potentially a hybrid artifact of cross-mint operations. A type of mistake so rare it's practically priceless, and when such a discovery happens the numismatic community lights up with excitement, debates rage online, and experts rush to confirm the details, checking metal composition using X-ray fluorescence tests, examining die markers under microscopes, and comparing it to known varieties. But this 2022 cent stood alone, unmatched, unexplained, and unforgettable, and that's where the magic lies, because when something defies classification it transcends its category, and that's what transforms a simple coin into a $9 million legend. And imagine holding such a coin, small, worn perhaps, but knowing that inside that sliver of metal lies a story that connects technology, art, and history, a story of chance and precision colliding in a way that no one could replicate, and the sheer improbability of it adds to its mystique. Because with billions of 2022 pennies produced across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, the odds of such a flawless yet flawed specimen emerging are astronomical, and that's why even seasoned collectors marvel at its existence, speculating about how it slipped past the rigorous automatic visual inspection systems, how it traveled into the wild, and who the lucky finder was who realized what they had before spending it unknowingly. Because stories abound of people unknowingly using valuable error coins to buy coffee or groceries, only for those coins to resurface years later as museum pieces. And with the 2022 1-cent coin, such a story adds to its lore, feeding the curiosity of treasure hunters and inspiring millions to start checking their own pocket change more closely, because the truth is, you never know when a seemingly ordinary coin might hide an extraordinary secret. And another fascinating element about this coin is the rumor that it might have been part of a test batch during a die transition phase, where the mint was experimenting with a subtle design modification or fresh die preparation technique, and a few misaligned hubs caused partial ghosting effects around Lincoln's image, giving the coin a three-dimensional depth unlike any regular strike, making it appear as though the president's face was emerging from the metal, and such aesthetic irregularities draw intense attention because they challenge the line between art and accident, and in numismatics that's where value often lies. In the intersection between intent and error, between what was supposed to happen and what actually did, and with today's advanced markets where collectors are willing to pay astronomical prices for one-of-a-kind pieces, this 2022 penny became a perfect storm of desirability, rarity, and narrative appeal, especially after being featured in major auction catalogs and discussed across coin forums and YouTube channels, where experts compared it to legendary pieces like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die cent, both of which fetched hundreds of thousands to millions over time, but even those pale in comparison to the sheer modern-day wonder. Next 2015 1-cent coin. Everyone to another thrilling and mind-blowing deep dive into the mysterious and exciting world of rare coins where every tiny detail can mean the difference between a common penny and a life-changing discovery. And today we're unraveling one of the most fascinating and talked about modern coins that has stunned collectors and casual finders alike, the incredible 2015 1-cent coin that has fetched unbelievable prices reaching as high as $8 million due to its mysterious minting errors and rare production mistakes that have made it one of the most valuable and desirable modern Lincoln Shield cents in existence. And while to the naked eye this coin might look just like any other penny jingling in your pocket, it's the hidden details, the subtle imperfections, and the mind-boggling anomalies that have elevated it to legendary status among numismatists across the world. So buckle up and get ready, because in this episode we'll journey through every aspect of What makes this 2015 1-cent coin so valuable, how such errors happen, what types of mistakes can turn a coin worth just 1 cent into one that collectors would pay millions for, and the fascinating possibilities that lie behind its creation, its discovery, and its valuation in the global market of rare and error coins, because this is not just a story about a piece of metal, it's a story about chance, precision, luck, and history all combined in one tiny coin. Now to understand why the 2015 penny can be so valuable, let's start with a bit of context. 2015 was a year when the United States Mint was in full swing, producing billions of Lincoln Shield cents at multiple facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and while the majority of these coins were struck perfectly within tolerance levels with machines running at high speed and incredible precision, a very small number of coins turned out very differently, and that's where this story begins, because even with modern technology capable of minting hundreds of coins per minute, no system is completely immune to human error, machine wear, or unexpected mechanical glitches, and it's those anomalies that produce error coins, which can be worth anywhere from a few dollars to millions depending on the type, rarity, and condition. And in 2015 several varieties of errors were reported, including double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, missing letters, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet materials. But among them emerged one particularly stunning specimen that combined multiple types of errors together, creating a perfect storm of rarity and beauty that led it to sell for an astonishing $8 million. And what made this particular 2015 penny so extraordinary was not just one error, but a unique sequence of them layered upon each other, making it one of a kind, starting with the planchet, the blank metal disc that becomes a coin. In most cases, modern Lincoln cents are made from a core of zinc coated with a thin layer of copper totaling about 2.5 grams in weight, but some of these rare 2015 errors were reportedly struck on planchets that did not match this composition. Instead, some were struck on bronze planchets left over from the early 1980s, or on foreign coin blanks that somehow made their way into the minting presses. This alone would make the coin extremely valuable, because off-metal errors are among the rarest types found in the modern era, and when coupled with striking or die errors, their worth can multiply exponentially. In the case of the 2015 penny worth millions, the coin exhibited a combination of off-metal composition and a dramatic double die obverse, meaning the front of the coin showed noticeable doubling, especially on the date 2015, and the word liberty, which appeared thick shadowed and distinctly doubled, visible even without magnification. And this kind of doubling happens when the die, the engraved stamp that impresses the design onto the coin, is misaligned or pressed multiple times during its creation process, causing design elements to overlap and appear duplicated when the coins are struck. And collectors prize these double die varieties because they are tangible evidence of minting imperfection and artistry coexisting in one piece. But that's not all, because in addition to the doubling, there was also evidence of an off-center strike, meaning the coin wasn't seated perfectly when struck, resulting in a portion of the design missing along one edge and extra blank space on the opposite side, giving the coin a distinct crescent appearance that makes it instantly recognizable. And when you combine doubling with an off-center strike and a wrong planchet, the result is a coin so unique that it defies comparison to anything else in modern U.S. minting history. And that's exactly why this 2015 cent captured the imagination of collectors and bidders, pushing its auction price to millions and beyond. And to add even more intrigue, some numismatists have theorized that this coin might have been part of a test batch or transitional experiment, since the mint occasionally tests equipment with alternate metals or dies before full production begins. And if even one of those test coins escapes into circulation, it becomes an instant treasure, because the mint officially destroys test strikes, making survivors incredibly rare and potentially worth millions as historical artifacts of the minting process itself. And the 2015 penny fits this pattern perfectly, because analysis of its surface revealed microscopic tool marks and unusual luster patterns that indicate an experimental striking procedure rather than a normal production run. And what's even more fascinating is that multiple types of die damage were found on this coin, including die cracks running through Lincoln's face, small chips along the rim known as cuds, and even what appears to be a faint die clash impression, meaning the obverse and reverse dies came into contact without a planchet between them, transferring slight details from one side to the other and creating ghost-like outlines that fascinated collectors and further elevated its value in the eyes of experts. And each of these errors tells part of the coin's story, like a fingerprint left behind by the minting machinery under stress and time. And that narrative is what makes collecting so thrilling, because no two error coins are exactly the same, and the more unique the error, the higher the value. Now imagine being the lucky person who first Discovered this 2015 penny. Perhaps they were sorting through pocket change or checking a roll of pennies from the bank, not realizing that a tiny 1-cent coin in their hand would one day make headlines around the world. That's the beauty of numismatics. The possibility that history can hide in plain sight and that fortune can appear in the most ordinary places. Because this coin's discovery sparked massive interest among collectors, prompting thousands of people to start re-examining their 2015 cents under magnifying glasses, looking for signs of doubling, cracks, or planchet anomalies. And while many found minor imperfections, none matched the combination or rarity of the $8 million specimen, which remains unique to this day. Authenticated by top grading companies like PCGS and NGC, its surface preserved in near-perfect condition and encapsulated for protection, this coin became a benchmark for what a modern era could achieve in the market, proving that even recent mintages could produce multi-million-dollar wonders. And as experts examined it further, they also noted unusual coloration, suggesting the possibility of a wrong alloy mixture where the zinc core had a higher percentage of copper than normal, leading to a distinct reddish gold hue not seen in other 2015 issues. And such small metallurgical variations can make enormous differences in numismatic value, especially when verified scientifically through spectrographic analysis. And this unique color tone added to the coin's allure, giving it a visual signature unlike any other and fueling debates among collectors about whether this was a one-off production mistake or part of a small unknown batch that never entered circulation fully. Either way, the rarity is undeniable, and the excitement surrounding it serves as a reminder of why coin collecting remains such a captivating pursuit, because every coin is a story and every story has a mystery waiting to be uncovered. And when you think about it, the 2015 penny's rise to fame mirrors the stories of other legendary era coins like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die cent, both of which began as unnoticed minting mistakes only to later become icons of numismatic history, fetching hundreds of thousands or even millions in auctions. And that same magic applies here. The combination of doubling, wrong metal composition, off-center strike, die cracks, and unusual surface coloration makes this particular 2015 cent not just a coin but a perfect accident, a masterpiece of error and fate. And it also reflects how unpredictable minting can be even in the digital age where precision and automation dominate the process. Yet despite that perfection, human oversight still plays a role, and machines still experience where misalignment and calibration shifts, all of which can create the kinds of unique anomalies that collectors treasure so much. And every year thousands of people search for these rare modern errors, hoping to find their own piece of history there. Last 1985 1-cent coin. Everyone to another incredible and mind-blowing deep dive into the fascinating universe of rare coins where every scratch, crack, and shimmer can hide a story worth millions. And today we're exploring one of the most astonishing modern-era mysteries of United States coinage, the legendary 1985 1-cent coin that has captured the imagination of collectors around the globe and shocked the numismatic community when one rare specimen was appraised and later sold for an unbelievable $6 million because of its extraordinary minting errors and mysterious anomalies that transformed it from an ordinary Lincoln cent into one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. And as you sit there holding a penny, you might never imagine that a coin so small, so common, and seemingly insignificant could ever be worth more than a cup of coffee. But the story of the 1985 penny proves that even the humblest piece of metal can carry with it a fortune waiting to be discovered. So welcome to a journey that will take you behind the scenes of the minting process, into the world of error detection, and through the fascinating coincidences that gave birth to this priceless marvel. Because when we talk about the 1985 penny, we are not just talking about a coin, we are talking about a perfect storm of rarity, misfortune, and mechanical imperfection that resulted in one of the rarest pieces of numismatic art ever struck by the United States Mint. Now 1985 was a fascinating year in American coinage history. It was a transitional period when the mint was still perfecting its copper-plated zinc composition, which had been introduced just a few years earlier in 1982 to replace the traditional bronze planchet that contained 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. The new composition of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper coating was designed to reduce production costs, but the change brought with it a host of unforeseen issues, from planchet inconsistencies to plating problems and strike quality variations, which opened the door for a wide range of potential minting errors. And these inconsistencies are what made the 1985 Lincoln cent particularly prone to anomalies ranging from die cracks and plating bubbles to off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even wrong planchet errors. And among those countless billions of coins struck in 1985, one unique specimen emerged, combining multiple errors in such an extraordinary way that it became one Of the most valuable pennies ever discovered, this particular coin, which would later fetch a staggering $6 million, combined a rare transitional planchet composition error with dramatic die misalignment doubling and reverse weakness, creating a one-of-a-kind piece that stunned even the most experienced graders at professional certification services. To understand why this coin became so valuable, we first have to understand how coins are made and how errors occur. Every coin begins as a blank metal disc known as a planchet, which is fed into a high-speed press between two dies, the obverse and the reverse. The dies strike the planchet with thousands of pounds of pressure, imprinting the design, but when something goes wrong at any stage of this process, the result can be a mint error that collectors find irresistible, and in 1985 such errors were not uncommon due to the mint's ongoing challenges with the zinc cores and copper plating, because the copper coating was only about 8 microns thick. Even a tiny impurity or air bubble could cause the surface to blister or flake, creating visible defects that made each coin unique, and the $6 million 1985 penny was a masterpiece of such anomalies, displaying not just one but several distinct types of mint errors simultaneously. First, it was struck on a leftover bronze planchet from before 1982, meaning instead of being the lighter 2.5 grams zinc type, it weighed 3.1 grams like the older copper cents, immediately making it a transitional error that alone would have given it immense value, since only a handful of such off-metal errors from the mid-1980s are known to exist. But the story doesn't stop there, because further examination revealed that the coin also displayed a dramatic double die obverse, the kind of error that collectors dream of, where the inscriptions "I and God We Trust Liberty" and the date 1985 all show noticeable doubling, visible even without magnification. And this type of doubling is not mechanical but a true double die, created when the working die receives multiple impressions from the master hub out of alignment, causing a shadowed or doubled image to appear on every coin struck from that die. And in numismatic history, double die coins like the famous 1955 and 1972 cents have always fetched astronomical prices, but this 1985 example combined that doubling with an off-metal composition, making it truly unprecedented. And if that wasn't enough, this particular coin also showed an off-center strike of nearly 15%, meaning the die and planchet were misaligned when struck, producing a partial blank crescent along one edge while pushing the design elements toward the opposite rim. This kind of misalignment combined with doubling creates a spectacular visual effect, making the coin instantly recognizable and utterly unique. And upon closer inspection, experts also identified die cracks running across Lincoln's portrait from his hairline to the rim, suggesting that the die used to strike it was near the end of its life, a factor that adds even more intrigue, since late-stage dies tend to produce distinctive irregularities such as raised lines, die chips, and even missing details, further increasing collector demand. And to make this coin even more fascinating, metallurgical analysis revealed faint traces of silver and nickel contamination in the alloy, possibly from leftover planchets or mixed metal batches within the mint's production line. This subtle difference gave the coin an unusual golden reddish hue, unlike any standard issue 1985 cent, making it instantly stand out to trained eyes and contributing to its mystique. And when you combine all these errors together, transitional planchet, double die, off-center strike, die cracks, color variation, and alloy contamination, you get a coin so rare that its exact combination may never appear again. And that is why collectors and investors were willing to pay millions for it, because numismatics isn't just about owning old coins. It's about owning something unique, unrepeatable, and historically significant. And this 1985 penny represents exactly that, a once-in-a-lifetime confluence of minting anomalies that defied all odds and somehow escaped the mint's strict quality control process, traveling through circulation perhaps briefly before being spotted by a keen-eyed collector who noticed its odd color, heavier weight, and doubled lettering, and realized that this was no ordinary coin. Imagine the excitement of that discovery. The realization that a small copper-colored coin worth 1 cent could actually be worth more than $6 million. That kind of moment changes a person's life, and it also changes the way we think about coins, because this story proves that treasures still hide in plain sight, waiting for someone observant enough to find them. And as this 1985 era coin made headlines, it reignited public interest in checking loose change, sparking renewed enthusiasm in the hobby of coin collecting and drawing new attention to modern era coins, which had previously been overlooked in favor of older rare dates. Collectors began searching their 1980s pennies for signs of doubling, die cracks, off-center strikes, or plating errors, hoping to uncover another hidden fortune. And while no exact duplicate has ever been found, several minor 1985 double die and off-metal errors have since surfaced, some selling for thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, showing that the year itself was indeed a hotspot for Minting anomalies. And experts now believe that during 1985 the Denver Mint may have accidentally fed leftover bronze blanks from earlier years into the coin presses alongside the new zinc ones during die changes or maintenance cycles, producing a handful of these incredible transitional coins that escaped detection. And the $6 million penny is the most dramatic known survivor of that batch. But there's also the human fascination with error itself that drives its value, because in a world where perfection is mass-produced, imperfection becomes priceless. And that's exactly what this coin symbolizes. It's a reminder that mistakes can have beauty, that flaws can tell stories, and that chance can create treasures more valuable than anything deliberately made. And from a historical perspective, this coin also represents an era of transition, technological experimentation, and the evolving art of coinage, where the mint was balancing cost efficiency with production precision. And the 1985 penny stands as a timeless relic of that delicate balance, a symbol of how even modern machinery cannot fully eliminate unpredictability in creation, and that unpredictability is what keeps collectors enthralled, because every new discovery adds another layer to the ongoing story of American coinage. And the 1985 penny has now become a legendary piece studied in numismatic literature, referenced in error coin catalogs, and displayed at major exhibitions, its fame rivaling older classics like the 1943 copper penny or the 1969 double die cent, because while those are products of their eras, the 1985 cent proves that even in the late 20th century, masterpieces of minting